Program Director, Comrade Shingange, President of Cosatu, Comrade Zingi Salosi, General Secretary of the South African Communist Party, Comrade Blades Nzimande, Deputy Secretary General of the African National Congress, Comrade Jesse Duarte, other leaders of the Alliance who are here with us, as in the ANC, the party, and indeed Cosatu, and comrades and friends and workers of our country, and indeed workers of the world. This is the second Workers' Day that we commemorate under COVID conditions, a pandemic that has fundamentally changed the way we live, the way we work, and the way we meet in our various formations. On this day, we celebrate the workers of our country, workers who continue to toil to make our country work properly, to produce our food, to produce our products, to provide services of all sorts and manner to the people of our country. On this day, we salute you. This is a day for you to be with your families, your friends, your comrades. We are sorry that we are not able to meet in a rally type of situation, but it is a day on which we want you to remember the gains that you have won as the workers of our country, the progress that you have achieved in your conditions as workers vis-à-vis what obtained in the past under apartheid rule. The democracy that you fought for and won has provided much better working conditions to you as the working people of our country. And for that we are grateful. But we will continue to work to improve your conditions of work, your living conditions, working together as an alliance. During this pandemic, the people of South Africa have shown tremendous courage in living under economic and social challenges that are posed by this pandemic that now prevents us from holding the celebratory rallies that we normally hold. South African workers have sacrificed a lot and have been severely impacted by this pandemic in terms of the loss of income, with their families or livelihoods being negatively affected. Frontline workers, such as medical personnel, the police, teachers, and other staff members in the public service, and workers in the retail, have put their lives on the line during the height of the pandemic to keep the country going. We salute these heroes and heroines of our country that have sacrificed their own lives so that we all can live. This has been the most challenging time that our country and its people have faced since the beginning of our democratic era. The leaders of the Alliance sitting here have shown the utmost unity throughout the COVID pandemic and have been able to give clear leadership to the country. And we are grateful to have leaders of great stature like these who've been able to analyze the situation in which we are and provide many solutions. The Alliance coordinated our response together with government and provided the leadership in a multi-pronged and coherent manner. Citizens largely conducted themselves admirably, and this behavior aided our efforts to contain the virus to a large extent. It is in times like these of great difficulty that the alliance between the ANC, the South African Communist Party, and Cosatu must continue to show united leadership. Let us not allow ourselves to be diverted from the challenging tasks at hand. Let us deal with the matters that cause strife and division between us, but let us also be clear about addressing the needs of our people. A united alliance made of the People's Movement, the Vanguard and the fighting force of workers, and a vibrant civic organization is still the best force to drive the national democratic revolution. It is certainly a strong force to lead our campaign against this pandemic, but also for economic recovery. Our people are still asked to maintain their vigilance and continue adhering to the known protocols of maintaining social distance, wearing a mask, and avoiding crowded spaces while we now get our vaccine program and campaign underway. Worker leaders must be exemplary in this regard. There have been a number of unforeseen delays in our vaccine program, and we have had to do much going forward. We had to pause the Johnson & Johnson Sisonke trial due to the reports of this vaccine being linked to incidents of blood clotting in the United States. No instances of blood clotting were detected or experienced in our own country during this trial period. Our country resumed the vaccination process on Wednesday, and with strengthened protocols to screen and to monitor for potential blood clots. In the interim, South Africa has increased our supplies, particularly vaccines that we are getting from Pfizer. We will soon begin vaccinating people who are over 60 and certain other designated categories of people with comorbidities and other high-risk groups in phase 2 of the vaccination rollout. So that work is underway. The rising number of COVID infections, the deaths, and ongoing health emergency in India and looming crisis in Brazil make an urgent and highly visible case for developing countries to be given access to the means to produce vaccines themselves. Many developing countries have the capacity and will be able to manufacture their own vaccines much more quickly, much more effectively, efficiently, and much cheaper. South Africans in particular must be alive to the real risk of experiencing a third wave of COVID infections during winter. Workers of the world must unite to compel developed countries and these large pharmaceutical companies to display more social solidarity in addressing this pandemic. We call on Cosatu and the rest of the mass democratic movement to intensify their efforts to join the progressive forces in our country and throughout the world, as Cosatu has already done, to advocate for vaccine patents waiver. The best way in which to fight COVID-19 is to ensure that as many people as possible are indeed vaccinated as quickly as possible. This disease cares nothing for borders, economic, military, or other prowess. Developing countries must be made to internalize that hoarding of available vaccines and not waiving vaccine patents will lead to immense suffering and tremendous loss of human life. In the end, none of us is safe until all of us are safe. It is without a doubt true that COVID-19 put unforeseen and massive pressure on an already strained economic situation in our country. We have had to reprioritize our spending across a range of areas in order to fund social, medical, and other interventions to mitigate against the worst ravages of this pandemic. As is well known, South Africa was already in a very precarious economic situation even before the pandemic. The precarious economic situation that our country finds itself in is having a negative impact on our people as a whole, as the reprioritization of spending does in the end affect expenditure in a number of areas that affect our people's lives. This precarious economic situation has also had an impact on our ability to finalize a wage agreement with public servants. We do heed the call that we should do as much as possible to return to the bargaining table with a view of finding a solution. And we do heed your call as well, General Secretary Blade Nzimande of the South African Communist Party, that yes, we should return to the bargaining table and have thoroughgoing negotiations with Labour in this regard. The ANC-led government reaffirms its commitment to protecting collective bargaining and all other labour rights that many workers sacrifice so much for. This sentiment has been endorsed by Comrade Senzo Mchunu, who is the responsible minister in the public service, as recently as this week. Cosatu a while ago proposed that certain public holidays and election day be declared non-trading holidays. They have motivated the reasons for this quite thoroughly and quite convincingly. Government has begun the process to amend the Public Holidays Act and will begin a series of public consultations, as we must, within the next few months. There is absolute agreement.
Could you try again?
It's when you use this gadget. They talk back at you. I just hope it's not the CIA. There is absolute agreement that unemployment and the jobs bloodbath exacerbated by the pandemic are devastating. We must take drastic action to create sustainable jobs that make a meaningful difference to people's lives. Cosatu has rightly raised a concern about the impact of reprioritization on the budget of the CCMA. We will work with Cosatu to find solutions in this regard. Social partners, working mainly through NEDLAC, put together the elements of the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan. This plan, as we all know, sets out a series of actions aimed at fundamentally changing the economy of our country and the jobs market and making it more inclusive and more equitable. Some of these programs are beginning to show positive effects, such as the Presidential Employment Stimulus was established in response to the economic impact of COVID-19 and is the most rapid expansion of public employment in South Africa's history. The stimulus supports a range of programs, from expanding traditional public employment to protecting existing jobs and providing support for livelihoods. Over 650,000 opportunities have been supported by the stimulus from March 2021. This includes more than 300,000 education assistants who were placed in over 20,000 schools across South Africa. This has never been done in our country, that in a short space of time we are able to achieve such success. They have supported teachers in the classroom and contributed to COVID-19 safety protocols and maintenance of infrastructure while learning skills that will help them to succeed in the labor market. Funding has also been provided to protect vulnerable teaching posts. Income support is being provided to more than 125,000 workers in the early childhood development sector, whose livelihoods were disrupted by the pandemic. More than 50,000 opportunities have also been created in public employment programs in the environmental sector, natural resource management, fire protection, and the war on waste. Now, almost 2,000 artisans have also been hired by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure to support water and energy efficiency, as well as facilities management and the Rural Bridges Program. The expansion of the Global Business Services Incentive has enabled the creation of 8,000 jobs, and these are still growing on an ongoing basis. More than 100,000 small-scale and subsistence farmers are being provided with input vouchers to expand their own production, and this they have said they appreciate. Another pillar of the recovery plan is the increase in local production, and we are developing a number of master plans to create conducive conditions for industries to grow. These master plans focus on localization, development of small medium enterprises, and also growing the local economy, and they've also been found in the following sectors. The sugar master plan is underway, poultry master plan is underway, and billions of rands have been invested in these since the inauguration of the master plans. In the clothing and textile and footwear and leather master plan has also unleashed a lot of investments measuring up to 500 million rand, where a number of our stores have also participated. The steel master plan has been finalized and presented to the Oversight Committee. This COVID pandemic has illustrated the enormous depth of human and wonderful stories of solidarity and patriotism amongst our people. At the same time, it has also shown depths of depravity and on the part of some of our compatriots. Those people, especially those charged with the positions of public trust, who used this pandemic to steal from the people and unjustly enrich themselves, must feel the full brunt of our law. Such misdeeds must not and will not go unpunished. In fact, no instance of criminality and corruption must go unaddressed. It is only when we adopt an attitude of zero tolerance in our ranks that we will make a lasting difference. Social ills such as substance abuse, gender-based violence, and femicide stalk our population. There needs to be further and in-depth study of the socio-economic causes of these ills, and we must refine our responses to go beyond just the judicial legal responses. The scourge of gender-based violence is an indictment on our people, It finds its roots in backward attitudes of patriarchy and chauvinism and must be eradicated in all its formations. We call on our structures to develop programs to educate citizens about rights and resources available to survivors of gender-based violence. Too often people stay in abusive situations as they are not aware of the resources that are available to them. Communities must be vocal about gender-based violence, as silence is often a contributing factor to such abuse. We must not protect perpetrators, whoever they may be. It is, in the end, our revolutionary duty to actively work to eradicate gender-based violence from our society. The ANC appreciates the ongoing support of Cosatu and especially the renewed support for the forthcoming local government elections in October 2021. We will, as in the past, work together not only to develop the manifesto. We will work together not only to campaign together, but we will work together to select those who should become candidates on our lists. And this must be, as you have requested, must be a joint effort so that those who will in the end represent our communities must know that they do so on behalf of our communities. We must all work for a decisive victory for the ANC in these local government elections. We have heard the pleas of workers to improve the way the alliance functions. We've also heard the party with regards to improving the way the alliance functions, and we will and continue to work together to achieve this. Every process of change is painful, and we will encounter resistance, yes, along the way. In reconfiguring the alliance, we must put in place structures that will respond to the current challenges. Comrades, we have broad agreement on our immediate tasks, and the alliance must develop a common platform around these tasks. The first one is to unite, to renew, and build the alliance. And in the course of doing so, we should build our individual components of the alliance. We must renew the ANC and rebuild it. We must strengthen Cosatu. We must work alongside with the SACP so as to strengthen the alliance overall. Secondly, we must promote continued adherence to all COVID-19 health protocols so that we can defeat this pandemic. Thirdly, we must mobilize all South Africans to get vaccinated. Fourthly, we must resolve the impasse with the public sector wage negotiations. And we must also mobilize and win the 2021 local government elections. On an overall basis, we must work together to ensure that there is economic recovery and reconstruction in our country. We will not succeed in providing effective leadership on any of these issues unless we unite and continue working together. I wish you all, the workers of our country, the happiest Workers' Day and a rest period at home with your families. I thank you.